The heightened security measures in Sochi have transformed the city into a fortress. The Federal Protective Service announced a yellow security level, signaling intensified document checks and increased patrols for at least 2 weeks. The Black Sea's waters are now monitored by advanced systems, including unmanned maritime drones. Every yacht and boat entering the port faces thorough inspections. As the sun rose, social media exploded with images from eyewitnesses. Users flooded platforms with photos of military convoys, helicopters, and checkpoints. The internet turned every observer into a participant, amplifying the global resonance of the events unfolding in Sochi. Tourists shared their experiences, praising the professionalism and coordination of the security forces, who maintained a respectful demeanor towards civilians amidst the chaos. However, the rapid spread of information prompted major platforms to intervene, curbing fake news and panic-inducing rumors. Russian television networks quickly mobilized, broadcasting special reports featuring leading experts on security and international terrorism. News crews from major channels like Channel 1, NTV, and RNTV were dispatched to cover the situation live. Special correspondent Alexander Politsky provided updates every 2 hours, relaying insights from specialists and officials on the ground. International media interest surged, with over 30 journalists from various countries arriving in Sochi. Reporters from BBC, CNN, Deutsche Welle, and France 24 sought accreditation to operate within the Special Operations Zone. Maria Zakharova, a representative of the Russian Foreign Ministry, held an impromptu briefing for foreign press, emphasizing the Russian authorities' commitment to transparency and the importance of accurate reporting. But what does this mean for the future of international events in the region? With the BRIC summit and a major economic forum on the horizon, the implications of these security measures could reshape plans. Organizers of sports and cultural events are closely monitoring the situation, ready to adapt their security protocols. Will the shadow of terrorism alter the course of diplomacy and tourism in this vibrant city? The stakes have never been higher. As the tension escalated in Sochi, leaders from major hotel chains like Radisson, Hyatt, and Marriott convened emergency meetings with their security teams. The stakes were high, the region's reputation hung by a thread. Maila Mids, director of the Russian Tour Operators Association, pledged full cooperation with security forces to maintain stability and tourist trust. But was it enough? International observers noted a disturbing trend, the rise of extremist activity in the Greater Caucasus, threatening to strike at the heart of Russia's economy. With tourism generating over 120 billion rubles annually, Sochi was a prime target for terrorists. A report from the Center for Strategic Studies in Washington warned that resort areas worldwide were increasingly becoming attack hotspots. European nations bombarded Moscow with inquiries about the safety of their citizens, particularly diplomats from Germany, France, Italy, and the Netherlands, whose nationals made up a significant portion of Sochi's tourist influx. Consulates opened 24-hour hotlines, while the U.S. State Department, through spokesperson Matthew Miller, expressed readiness to collaborate in the fight against terrorism. Was this a sign that U.S. intelligence had insights into the detained group's plans? Turkey also stepped up, with Interior Minister Ali Yerlikaya offering any necessary assistance. Turkish intelligence shared a database of suspects linked to terrorist activities crossing the Turkish-Syrian border over the past 2 years. The Sochi operation was the culmination of extensive, multi-layered efforts involving colleagues from Syria, Iraq, EU nations, and Interpol. French and British intelligence had relayed critical information about impending attacks to Moscow. But what were the terrorists planning? As the clock ticked down, the atmosphere thickened with uncertainty. The stakes were higher than ever, and the clock was ticking. Would the combined efforts be enough to thwart a disaster? In the shadows, the terrorists were plotting their next move, and the world held its breath. What would happen next? In the wake of rapid developments in Sochi, analysts warned that the recent turmoil could drastically alter plans for high-profile international forums in the region. With the BRIC summit scheduled for September and a major economic forum in October, organizers are now on high alert. They are poised to update security protocols, and even considering relocating events if necessary. Amidst this backdrop, the Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs has confirmed the ongoing counterterrorism operation. General Major Irina Volk stated that further details will remain undisclosed until the investigative processes conclude. This aligns with standard practices for operational security and information management during such crises. Authorities in Krasnodar have launched criminal proceedings under the Russian Federation's criminal code, focused on terrorism-related charges and the formation of illegal armed groups. Skilled investigators have been tasked with uncovering the full scope of the situation, including potential accomplices within and beyond Russia's borders. In response, Governor Veniamin Kondrativ convened urgent meetings with local law enforcement and federal representatives, delving into interagency coordination and strategies to minimize impact on the region's crucial tourism sector. The outcome of these discussions led to the establishment of a regional coordination center dedicated to ensuring safety in the region's resorts, with funding sourced from reserve allocations. Simultaneously, Sochi's city administration has launched a specialized information hub to facilitate communication with tourists, media, and travel agencies. Situated in the city hall on Soviet Street, the hub operates around the clock, staffed with translators fluent in several major European languages. As the sun rises over the Black Sea, what repercussions will the terror threats pose for the bustling tourist season? Will the events in Sochi change the way international gatherings are conducted? As tensions rise, all eyes are on the fate of this iconic resort town and its ability to safeguard its reputation amid chaos. The operation in Sochi was the fruit of extensive, multi-tiered collaboration involving partners from Syria, Iraq, the EU, and Interpol. Intelligence from French external security and British MI6 pointed to imminent attacks on Russian soil. Yet, what unexpected twist changed the course of this critical mission? Coordinated efforts took place through a secure communication channel. Iraqi intelligence played a pivotal role in the Mosul region, where they discovered documents revealing plans for strikes against Russia. This intel became a crucial starting point for a far-reaching investigation. Modern technology heightened the stakes. The Echelon system intercepted satellite communications, while the analysis of financial transactions through SWIFT unveiled suspicious transfers. Over 2 million rubles flowed in small amounts from Qatar and the UAE via the Hawala system, a classic finance scheme for terrorist activities. The symbolic choice of Sochi as a target caught experts' attention. This is not just any city, it's Russia's main tourist hub, the venue for the 2014 Olympics, and host to numerous international summits. A successful attack here would shatter the nation's prestige and erode public trust in state security. With the last weekend of August nearing, a peak in tourist traffic loomed. Investigators had pinpointed 3 potential assault sites: the central beach by the seaport, the railway station, and the large shopping center, Mormel. Coordinated strikes were designed to induce maximum chaos. Experts likened this strategy to a wolf pack. Following the Paris attacks in 2015, local authorities in Sochi acted swiftly, ramping up security measures across the city. Additional security posts were deployed at Vysotsky Airport, the railway station, and major shopping locations, while private security firms expanded their workforce by nearly a third. New Jersey barriers were erected in central zones to deter potential vehicular attacks. Surveillance systems upgraded with facial recognition capabilities heightened the city's defenses. All this was unfolding under the tense atmosphere of apprehension and anticipation. With time running short, would the enhanced measures be enough to thwart the terrorists' dark ambitions? The public could only hold its breath, as the specter of a deadly strike loomed ever closer. What if the serene beaches of Sochi were suddenly transformed into a battleground? On August 25, 2025, the resort city awoke not to the soothing sounds of waves and seagulls, but to the chilling wail of sirens and the thrum of helicopters. The dawn was shattered by the onset of a massive counter-terrorism operation, the largest in 5 years, aimed at rooting out a deadly threat looming over Russia's premier tourist destination. Codenamed Clean Waters, this operation was a stark reminder of the harsh realities facing the nation. The story began in May, when intelligence intercepted alarming communications from northern Syria. Unidentified voices plotted to escalate activities targeting Russian resorts. For the FSB and the Anti-Terrorism Committee, this was a clear signal. Immediate action was imperative. As the clock struck 4 a.m. in Moscow, residents of Adler witnessed an extraordinary sight. Columns of armored vehicles surged toward the mountains, transforming the A14 federal highway into a no-go zone for nearly 4 hours. Public transport was rerouted to prevent chaos, while nature seemed to bless the operation with perfect weather, 22 degrees Celsius, 10 kilometers of visibility, and a gentle breeze barely rustling the leaves. But the stakes were even higher than anticipated. The terrorist group was planning strikes on key tourist sites in Sochi. Among the apprehended were citizens from Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and 2 stateless individuals. 4 of them were wanted internationally for their involvement in terrorist activities across the Middle East and North Africa. A particular focus fell on a 37-year-old Syrian who had arrived in Russia just 3 months prior on a tourist visa. In that brief time, he had changed hideouts twice and acquired forged documents, crafted in a clandestine workshop in Istanbul specializing in counterfeit papers for terrorist networks. The operation was spearheaded by the Anti-Terrorism Committee, in collaboration with the FSB, National Guard, and the legendary Alpha Special Forces Unit. Over 300 operatives, including snipers, dog handlers, bomb disposal experts, and electronic surveillance specialists, were deployed. An elite group from Vimpel arrived on a special flight from Moscow. 2 Mi-8 helicopters equipped with thermal imaging and drone systems turned the skies over Sochi into a surveillance web. The command center was established in a fortified military complex in Krasnaya Polyana, from where every order was issued. The hunt for the militants reached a critical point at an altitude of 1,200 meters, in a location ominously named Bear Gates. Thermal imaging and German shepherds turned the mountainous terrain into a deadly game of cat and mouse. One terrorist attempted to resist, fighting to the end, but was swiftly subdued with a stun gun. He was found with a map detailing secret trails, a true masterpiece of conspiratorial art. Following the arrests, security measures were intensified across all mountain passes within a 50-kilometer radius. Border guards and canine units took positions at every potential illegal crossing. Additional motion sensors transformed the mountain pass into electronic traps. Meanwhile, the tourism industry in Sochi held its breath, as the resort's reputation hung by a thread. Leaders from major hotel chains like Radisson, Hyatt, and Marriott convened emergency meetings with their security teams. The director of the Russian Tour Operators Association, Maila Mids, expressed the industry's readiness to cooperate fully with authorities to maintain stability and tourist trust. As the operation unfolded, the world watched closely. Would Sochi's reputation survive this unprecedented threat? The answer lay in the hands of those fighting to protect it. The city of Sochi, once a serene paradise, now finds itself at the center of a high-stakes operation. As the sun rose on August 25, 2025, the usual sounds of waves and seagulls were replaced by the wailing of sirens and the thrum of helicopters. The Russian authorities launched a massive anti-terror operation, codenamed Clean Waters, aimed at eradicating a looming threat to the nation's premier tourist destination. But what triggered this unprecedented response? In May, a chilling conversation was intercepted over northern Syria, revealing plans to target Russian resorts. This alarming intelligence sent shockwaves through the FSB and Anti-Terrorism Committee, igniting a race against time. As dawn broke, residents of Adler witnessed an extraordinary sight. Columns of armored vehicles surged toward the mountains, transforming the A14 highway into a no-go zone. The air was thick with tension, and the stakes were higher than ever. The operation's objective was more sinister than anyone had anticipated. Terrorists were plotting strikes on key tourist sites in Sochi, with suspects hailing from Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Among them was a 37-year-old Syrian, who had entered Russia just 3 months prior on a tourist visa. His rapid changes of hideouts and possession of forged documents raised alarm bells. How had he slipped through the cracks? As the FSB, Rosgvardia, and the elite Alpha unit coordinated their efforts, over 300 operatives, including snipers and bomb disposal experts, were deployed. The skies above Sochi became a surveillance network, with Mi-8 helicopters and drones scanning for threats. The command center, fortified in a military base near Krasnaya Polyana, directed every move. But the real drama unfolded at an altitude of 1,200 meters, where the hunt for terrorists turned into a deadly game. One suspect resisted, leading to a swift confrontation. A map detailing secret routes was discovered, revealing a meticulous plan for infiltration. The implications were staggering. With the city on high alert, the tourism industry held its breath. Could the reputation of Sochi withstand this crisis? As the operation unfolded, the international community watched closely. Security experts from London, Paris, and Geneva praised the professionalism of Russian forces, noting the minimal disruption to daily life. Yet, the question lingered: what would be the long-term impact on regional stability? Financial markets reacted cautiously, but analysts remained optimistic, citing the swift response as a stabilizing factor. In a powerful show of unity, religious leaders from various communities in Sochi condemned extremism, emphasizing that true faith cannot justify violence. But as the dust settled, the world was left to ponder, had the threat been neutralized, or was this just the beginning of a more complex battle against terrorism? The answers remained elusive, shrouded in the shadows of the mountains that loomed over the city. As the sun rose over Sochi on August 25, 2025, it was not the gentle sound of waves or the cries of seagulls that greeted the residents but the alarming wails of sirens and the thrum of helicopters overhead. This was no ordinary morning, it heralded a massive security operation codenamed Clean Waters. The Russian security services had set into motion the most extensive anti-terrorist campaign seen in 5 years. Do you ever wonder what it feels like to witness the dawn of a manhunt? For the people of Adler, it was a surreal spectacle. Military vehicles stretched endlessly down Federal Highway A14, blocking access and establishing a no-go zone. Panic mingled with the crisp morning air as city transport hurriedly rerouted, creating a gridlock akin to a scene out of apocalypse fiction. The atmosphere was charged, a palpable tension filled the air, tangled with the scent of impending conflict. The urgency of the situation began months prior when unsettling communications were intercepted over northern Syria, hinting at something sinister targeting Russia's premier tourist hub. The FSB and Counterterrorism Committee sprung into action. As the clock struck 4, military convoys surged into the mountains, their mission clear: eradicate the looming threat. The peaceful tranquility of Sochi was shattered, but what awaited them in the hills? High above, Tu-8 helicopters equipped with thermal imaging scoured the terrain. Ground forces, comprising over 300 elite members, snipers, bomb experts, and K-9 units, accompanied by the renowned Alpha Special Forces, formed a coordinated assault. They lacked one crucial detail: the precise location of their quarry. This was more than a mission, it was life or death. At a height of 1,200 meters near the symbolic Bear Gates, a scuffle erupted as one terrorist attempted to resist arrest. Chaos struck when a map was discovered, revealing secret trails used for their nefarious plots. This document was more than a map, it was a blueprint for terror, crafted meticulously to strike at the heart of Sochi's tourism infrastructure. But who exactly was behind it, and how deep did the conspiracy run? Safety protocols were immediately heightened across all mountain routes, transforming Sochi into a fortress. The very essence of tranquility felt threatened, turning the joyous anticipation of tourists into unease. Could the swift actions of local authorities sufficiently reassure a world watching closely? International observers noted a worrying trend of escalating extremist activity in the Greater Caucasus. Could this be an indication of something even larger brewing? The stakes were raising. Russian, US, and Turkish intelligence agencies shared vital information. It was revealed that the threat aimed at Sochi was meticulously timed to coincide with the bustling tourist peak at the end of August. Experts warned, could the attackers launch simultaneous strikes on popular hotspots, maximizing chaos? As news of military preparedness spread, social media became an unfiltered lens, capturing the fervor and fear. Eyewitnesses flooded platforms with images of armored columns and overhead helicopters. Amidst the din of speculation, courageous locals expressed solidarity with security forces. They empathized with the necessity for vigilance. Could it truly safeguard their cherished city? With the complexities of global diplomacy inching into local safety, nations issued alerts for their citizens, while Sochi officials scrambled to portray a united front of competence. An educational institution even launched a focused study scrutinizing the interplay of violence and tourism resilience. But with each passing hour, did the glimmer of normalcy flicker in Sochi's bright sun? What awaited them as the operation breathed its last? The narrative unfolded with every tick of the clock, and just as it seemed the dust was settling, could there be more secrets hidden beneath the surface? The question lingered, was this operation merely a surface-level fix for a deeply entrenched issue? Imagine, 4 men, hunted globally. Each name echoed on Interpol's most wanted lists. Their crimes, terrorism across the Middle East and North Africa. But one man's story chills to the bone. A 37-year-old Syrian. He slipped into Russia just 3 months ago, a tourist visa his only entry ticket. In 90 days, he vanished twice, acquiring forged identities. A forensic shocker, his passport was a fake. Crafted in a clandestine Istanbul workshop, a dark hub for terrorist documents. Who commands such a critical hunt? Russia's full might. The National Anti-Terrorism Committee, the Federal Security Service, the National Guard, and the legendary Alpha Group. Over 300 operatives descended. Snipers, dog handlers, bomb disposal experts, electronic intelligence specialists. An elite Vimpel unit flew in from Moscow on a special flight. Two Mi-8 helicopters, armed with thermal eyes, and Orlan drone systems wove an invisible net in the sky. Every command pulsed from a fortified nerve center, a military base in Krasnaya Polyana. The chase ended high in the peaks. 1,200 meters above the sea. A place called Medvesi Vorota. Bear's Gate. Thermal imagers and German shepherds turned the slopes into a lethal hunt. One terrorist fought back, a futile struggle. A stun gun swiftly ended it. On him, a map. A masterpiece of secrecy, every hidden trail meticulously plotted. This find changed everything. Security tightened instantly. A 50-kilometer radius, locked down. Border guards and K9 teams swarmed every potential escape route. Motion sensors transformed silent paths into digital kill zones. A silent panic gripped Sochi's tourist industry. The reputation of a nation's resort, hanging by a thread. Hotel giants, Radisson, Hyatt, Marriott, held emergency meetings. Their own security team scrambled into action. Maya Lomidze, head of Russia's Tour Operators Association, promised full cooperation. The goal, preserve stability, keep the trust of every visitor. But could they? The world was watching. The stakes, unimaginable. What did that detailed map truly reveal? And were there more sleepers, still hidden in the crowd? August 25, 2025. Sochi wakes not to waves, but to wailing sirens. Operation Pure Waters has begun, a massive counter-terrorism raid. We detailed the shocking capture of internationally wanted suspects and their horrifying plans for synchronized attacks. Now, the story evolves beyond the mountain chase. The air is thick with tension, yet tourists report feeling a strange sense of security. Why? Because while special forces patrolled the streets, Russia's finest minds launched a parallel war, a war of information. Elite academic institutions are now dissecting the plot. The Institute of Oriental Studies, Jimmo University, the Diplomatic Academy. They tear apart the terrorists' new methods, their crypto communications, their global coordination. But this is not just theory. A revolutionary, multilingual alert system is now live. Imagine, emergency SMS, loudspeakers, mobile apps all activating at once. A 24/7 hotline now answers in 5 languages. A direct line of salvation for every tourist. But the true twist? This attack did not break Russia's spirit, it forged an unbreakable international alliance. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, Interpol, Europol, all demanding closer ties. They share intelligence, form joint task forces. The hunters are now a united pack. The final question remains. Can a terrifying terror plot actually make a nation stronger? The economists are already calculating the answer. The Ministry of Economic Development and the Central Bank are cautiously optimistic. But the story isn't over. One shocking revelation changes everything we thought we knew about the funding, and it leads to a glittering, unexpected skyline far from Sochi. The money trail reveals all, and the source will stun you. In a surprising turn of events, various religious communities in Sochi came together to condemn extremism, underlining that true faith doesn't justify violence. But could this united front be enough to combat rising threats? Weeks of tension culminated in a heightened state of alert as the city activated its vast surveillance network of over 2,000 high-resolution cameras. Special teams from Moscow and Rostov-on-Don joined forces, analyzing past recordings with advanced face recognition technology and behavioral analytics. Were they prepared to face a calamity that loomed just beyond the horizon? The monitoring center within the mayor's office buzzed with activity. Sources close to the investigation revealed the uncovering of detailed blueprints, depicting plans of tourist infrastructure, complete with evacuation routes and critical lifeline systems. Found among the evidence were images of hotel interiors, skillfully captured by hidden cameras. This suggested a sinister, meticulous preparation for a potential attack. Was it a network of dormant threats waiting for the right moment to strike? While investigators delved deeper into potential corruption and insider assistance, international airlines, such as Lufthansa, Air France, and KLM, were urged to heighten security measures for flights to Sochi. Travelers faced delayed departures of up to 40 minutes as meticulous checks became the order of the day. But was the inconvenience worth the safety of countless lives? Major travel operators, including TUI and Coral Travel, swiftly established additional call centers to reassure clients. Elaborating on the enhanced protocols put in place. But could these efforts quench the rising concerns of those planning to visit Sochi, a region known for its peaceful allure now threatened by shadows of violence? In the wake of a major operation in Sochi, authorities are now focusing on the economic implications of the recent events. With careful information management and enhanced security measures, experts believe that the tourism sector can avoid long-term damage. The coordinated efforts of security services not only aim to protect citizens but also to bolster Russia's image as a safe destination on the global stage. As investigations continue around the clock, specialists in explosives, information technology, financial monitoring, and psychological profiling are working tirelessly. Their goal? To fully understand the scale of the thwarted threat and uncover the international connections of the detained group. However, definitive conclusions will only emerge after all forensic analyses, interrogations, and international inquiries are completed. Authorities are urging citizens to remain calm, vigilant, and to trust the professional security services that have proven their capability in effectively countering serious threats. The events in Sochi serve as a stark reminder of the need for constant readiness against terrorism, the importance of international cooperation, and the advancement of technology in security measures. But what if the threat was just the tip of the iceberg? What if the real danger lies deeper, hidden in the shadows of global networks? As the investigation unfolds, the world watches closely, waiting for the next shocking revelation. Will the truth expose a far-reaching conspiracy that could shake the foundations of security in the region? The clock is ticking. And the stakes have never been higher.